Greetings of the day. Today I'll be talking about revenue management. Now, in the hospitality industry, it is essential to have a revenue management team in place to capitalize on markets and profits. Now, there is more competition than ever in this industry, as well as more channels or options for travelers to book. As I previously mentioned in my other modules, that travelers and consumers have an option of either booking directly from a given particular hotel's website or from other OTAs or online travel agents or online booking engines such as Expedia, Make My Trip, GoIbibo, etc., Booking.com, so on and so forth. Now, revenue management is a process to predict customer behavior in order to enhance product availability and increase revenue. Now, under this module, I'll be covering several aspects that are important in this context. Now, it's important for us to understand what revenue management is, having a general understanding, a basic idea of what the concept is all about, what are the conditions for revenue management to exist. Then I'll be talking about the history of revenue management, which again is another important aspect over here. Then the significance of revenue management, it's extremely important in today's day and time and age. How to increase hotel revenue. Then what are the interconnected components of revenue management? Some of the interconnected components include benchmarking and demand forecasting and yield management and pricing decisions, which I will cover in the upcoming slides. Then it's important for us to have an understanding of the hotel's financial statements, which is the income and expenditure statements, the cash flow statement, and the balance sheet, which are crucial aspects for a revenue manager or an associate or an analyst to consider. Based on the financial statements, there are certain metrics or key performance indicators that are extremely vital in this case. Now, they basically measure the degree of which a particular metric is performing with regard to the hotel figures. And the most crucial metrics in revenue management include RevPAR, or revenue per available room, the average daily rate, and the occupancy, which will be explained in the upcoming slides. Then there are several reports that are also important in revenue management. One such report is a STAR report, and even benchmarking as well. So these all come into play because there's an organization or an association known as STA or Smith Travel Agency, which I will be talking about in my upcoming slides. And these reports are essential for benchmarking purposes. We should understand the role of a revenue manager as well, and what are the essential traits of making a successful revenue manager. And last but not the least, those 4 social styles, which are again applicable in a workplace, followed by the RMS and the post COVID-19 era, and how it has affected the landscape of revenue management. Now, coming to the introduction part, there are different definitions to revenue management. However, the concept is the same. According to Robert G. Cross, he defines revenue management as the science and the art of predicting real customer demand at a micro market level and optimizing price and availability of a product. Now, I put this in inverted commas because I've used this as a reference, because this is entirely Mr. Cross's perspective or take on revenue management. And again, it is important to predict customer demand because on the basis of demand, hotels can assess what would be the occupancy, and accordingly they can market their products and even come up with the appropriate pricing and availability in this case, it's not just only confined to rooms revenue management, but it also comprises of other aspects, say F&B outlets and other revenue generating areas of a hotel. So it's on the hotel, on the management team, and how they want to get their product across to the minds of the customers. Now, again, it is the effective use of strategic distribution and pricing tactics. Now, it requires a lot of strategic thinking, revenue management, and again, pricing is very crucial because it is important to cater to all segments, especially if it's in the hospitality industry. It's important to consider and value all the segments that are appropriate and are known as revenue generating segments. It's important to know all the market segments and the clientele in order to sell a hotel's perishable inventory to the right guests at the right time, at the right place, via the right distribution channel as well to generate higher revenue, because revenue is the ultimate motive and objective of revenue analysts or revenue managers. And hotels, at the end of the day, they seek profitability, and revenue leads to profitability in the long run. Yes, as I was mentioning specifically, that revenue management is not just confined to hotel rooms, but at the same time, it considers other amenities such as spa and even gift shops, or even say um, other F&B outlets and offerings, cafe, coffee shops, and specialty restaurants that are revenue generating points or avenues for a hotel. At the end of the day, revenue management is extremely beneficial for managing resources, because based on revenue, we can how much revenue the hotel is earning. It is possible to even manage other resources accordingly. Now, not just confined to finance, but even at the same time managing employees at the same time. Now, conditions for revenue management to take place. Now, there are a few essential conditions. One is again a relatively fixed capacity. Now, merchants of goods or services with greater flexibility in adjusting production can react quickly to changes in demand. Now, for example, fixed capacity. Now, in this case, I would be referring to hotel rooms, for example. If your hotel has just confined to 220 rooms, then that is a fixed capacity. And within that fixed capacity, it is important for revenue managers to market the rooms and to market the the products that have a fixed capacity accordingly, and to optimize and utilize the channels of distribution in order to generate more revenue in the long run. Now, again, perishable inventory refers to inventory that is has an expiry date and expires quite fast. Now, we see products that we purchase in the market, but at the same time, those products are perishable and they have an expiry date. Now, similarly, even if a guest checks into a hotel room, now a hotel may be just confined to 220 rooms, and the guest would be staying in the room, and because of this, to maximize revenue, those who have to manage, who trade in these perishable goods, in this case hotels, they must manage capacity very diligently and apply pricing strategies accordingly. Now, here again, it's important to understand that there's fixed capacity and there's perishable inventory, because it is important to manage capacity in a very diligent and a effective manner. Then market segmentation or client segmentation is highly important. One of the most important pillars or revenue management. A good revenue management application requires a design and implementation of targeted strategies and actions per segment. Now, there are several segments that hotels do cater to. It could be the business segment, it could be the MICE, which is the meeting, incentives, conventions, and exhibitions. segment. It could be millennials who are just who just like to explore different places. It could also be transient guests who are just probably have a flight to catch in a couple of hours, and they would like to book a room for a few hours. Now this is also another segment of clientele. Then there are business and corporate clients. Then there are luxury clients, and so on and so forth. So it's important to understand the market that the hotel is catering to in order to devise effective strategies in and effective pricing in order to engage with them. Successful segmentation strategy requires a lot of study and deep knowledge of the customer. So this is extremely important. And next is forecasting demand. Now again, accordingly, demand and supply, as we had studied in economics, the same applies in revenue management, because forecasting demand is also a key part of good revenue management. Understanding high and low demand periods helps to adjust pricing to counteract with them. Almost all the hotels experience low and high seasons, and especially hotels and resort markets. So as the demand for rooms increases and the supply of rooms decreases, the opportunities for charging higher rates emerge. So now there are again, it's important to come up with effective pricing strategies to optimize. It's important, but at the same time, it's more important to first analyze and study the demand patterns. When are the high and low periods accordingly? Now, in some hotels, in some places, in some countries, depending on the season and depending on the country, usually there do exist high and low seasons. So accordingly, it's important to forecast demand. And yes, precedency is something that comes into play, because it's important to reflect on previous historical data in order to forecast demand and come up with effective and appropriate pricing strategies to engage with the long-term potential guests. Now, the history of revenue management. Now, again, it was first used in the airline industry in the 1970s. Now, again, at the same time, it's important for us to understand that when we think of revenue management and we think airlines, but one of the first industries was the airline industry to adopt this concept. Airlines had implemented a concept of yield management. Yield management is got entirely do with pricing and demand. Now they adopted and implemented yield management in the form of early bird offers and early booking discounts, and these are very common tactics that have been implemented and adopted and practiced by airlines even today. And one such airline to first adopt this concept was British Airways. And this was entirely based on analytics around inventory. Inventory in this case is the number of seats, revenue per available seat, and how much yield per seat. So the concept of yield management is similar to revenue management because it is got entirely to do with pricing and demand. However, it is a part of revenue management, but it is not exactly and not completely revenue management. So the hotel industry applied revenue management in the 1980s. So again, here again, perishable inventory. Now in the hotel industry, I'm referring to inventory as rooms, or even for restaurants. Restaurants have also implemented revenue management tactics and strategies and metrics, like for example, revenue per square foot or revenue per seat. And in the hotel industry, there's revenue per available room. In the meeting space is revenue per meeting space. in the business center and the meeting space. So everything revenue management is applied in. Now it led to a broader approach that has been adopted by hotels. Now again, revenue management is a fairly new concept because it just it was initially applied in the 1980s. However, of late, over the last 10 years, revenue management has grown immensely, and people have started to realize its significance and importance in the hospitality industry. It is performed from a purely operational and tactical levels because we have hotels that have revenue analysts as well, who not only just consider the operational environment, also devise strategies based on how effectively they can cater to certain segments in the market and optimize pricing strategies accordingly. Now, revenue management is also extremely important. The significance of revenue management is something that we must consider because it helps to determine the best rate to sell rooms. Now, usually hotels have come up with several revenue management. Now, there are certain revenue management software tools such as RevPar, Guru, or Beyond Price that I will be addressing later on during one of the slides in this module. However, the basic concept is to determine the best price, the best rate to sell rooms to the guests. It even helps in optimizing manpower. Say, for example, if a hotel is not generating as much revenue as it should be generating, then again, at the same time, you can control the level of manpower and employees in the hotel because, again, cost cutting measures come into play. And it is important to identify the right customers. Now, with the help of revenue management tools and matrices, most common matrices, as I had mentioned before, was revenue per available room, which is nothing but room revenue divided by rooms available to sell. So this is a very crucial aspect of revenue management, which is RevPAR. And at the same time, it's important to identify the right customers through uh, revenue management software tools that can help in optimizing revenue management data and even identifying the correct customers. And even in the end, ultimately, it helps in improving the branding of the hotel because effective revenue management tools and tactics would help in building up the brand image as well. So yes, market segmentation is important and identifying the right type of clientele is also important. So that because some hotels may have a variety of clientele. However, certain segments may be more profitable than others. At the same time, coming back to metrics and financial statement analysis, yes, these are essential tools or quantitative factors or key performance indicators to show that the hotel is generating enough and adequate revenue and at the same time it is performing better than the previous years. Now let's understand how to increase hotel revenue. There are several ways hotels can increase their revenue. One is through online booking. So now customers can enjoy the flexibility, convenience, and the value of booking online. Hotels also benefit from this. On connecting with more OTAs, they can witness an uplift. They can witness an increase in more revenue because OTAs, online travel agents, they do play a vital role. For example, if an individual is trying to book a hotel in, say, Bangkok. Now, one of the best hotels would be the Kempinski Hotel. So now that would feature in the OTA application because there are certain fields and criteria that have to be just filled up with typed and with the hotel name, or say a five-star hotel in Bangkok in so and so area. So again, online booking does play a vital role. And here in this case, the OTA would help in promoting a given hotel as well. So OTAs are extremely beneficial. And again, it's important to build a revenue culture in order to increase hotel revenue in the long run, which is, there's a simple formula that has been used over here, which is nothing but anticipatory service plus proactive revenue minded employees equals an emotionally connected customer with engaged loyalty and higher revenue returns. Now, again, it's important for us to understand that yes, service plays a vital role in generating more revenue. Again, relationship management is a key aspect in this regard. Now, the front office department works here hand in hand. The guest relations section, the guest relations team, they have to engage in customer relationship and being proactive at the same time. Uh, Employees should also be able to upsell more premium products or even upsell other facilities or amenities of a hotel. This equals an emotionally connected customer. And in the long run, this will lead to loyalty, because once a customer is satisfied, he will always be satisfied and he would always return to the hotel. And in the long run, this would lead to loyalty. Hotels can also engage in loyalty programs. And in the long run, this is extremely profitable because this results in higher revenue returns. Then, as I'd mentioned before, it's important to consider amenities on site. For example, the spa and the salon, any gift shops, any other hotel products, using using this opportunity of offering guests a chance to purchase hotels unique spa items available at discounted rates. Now this again would generate revenue for the hotel, because revenue management is not just confined to hotel rooms or restaurants, but even to other avenues as well. Meeting spaces, again, as I previously mentioned. So it's important to sell other hotel products as well to lead to a better financial performance of a hotel. Then at the same time, leveraging events and attractions. Now it's a wonderful opportunity for to put together packages for guests or offer additional services such as transportation. The benefits are twofold, because it will benefit the hotel in the sense that the customer would come and stay and avail of the luxury service, the wonderful exceptional service that they're receiving at a given particular hotel. But at the same time, due to packages as well offered by hotels, for example, local tourism packages, and this would lead to customer satisfaction as well, because they're getting value for money, and they're also having the opportunity of exploring the tourism sector as well, because there's several historical tourist sites, and this is extremely beneficial for both the customer as well as the hotel, and as well as the destination or attraction as it's in itself overall. So yes, it's important to find avenues to increase hotel revenue, because at the end of the day, profitability is the ultimate objective for every organization. I'll be talking about the interconnected components of revenue management as well.